Hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I got a question for you. Do you think you make the most money from the market by looking at what's hot and what everybody's talking about after it's gone up a lot and trying to chase the momentum? And let your emotions get in the way sometimes when things are a little bit too hot and you end up buying into the hype and next thing you know, end up back holding, or would you rather get into something that maybe it's not as hot, not a whole lot of people are talking about it, and you just want to get ahead of the trend and trying to buy good setups that could end up having some pretty decent, breakouts and things like that. I think most people listening to this question would choose the second option. Now, the question is not so much whether or not you want to choose the second option. The question is, what are they? What is about to break out? What do you have a good setup here for? And time again, I try to establish those kinds of setups. Sometimes I end up buying a falling knife and they don't work out. But through the years, I've been learning to better identify which might be opportunities and which might be opportunity costs. And so far, one is kind of standing out to me based on what I'm looking at, which is the China stock market. Now, this is controversial because the Chinese stock market may not necessarily be tied to their economy, and there's a lot of, really crazy thing that have been said about the Chinese economy. And a lot of people are having a lot of concerns. They have a lot of youth unemployment. There are definitely a lot of economic problems over there for sure, just like you have a lot of economic problems pretty much in every single country on earth, including the United States. Whether or not these stock market here represents the actual economy, I don't know. All I know is that it represents liquidity, and China is printing out a ton of liquidity, and that can be seen with the Hang Seng Index fund here. Hang Seng is has been around for a very, very long time. It's really the Hong Kong index. And because of the handover back to China, there's a lot of stocks that are Chinese that are end up listed here in Hong Kong. And as a result, a lot of these stocks are being represented here on the Hang Seng now. And it basically is a great representation in terms of what the Chinese economy is doing in terms of liquidity standpoint. Look at the monthly chart here. This is a bullish chart. I don't even need to pull up the Ichimoku cloud. I can just look at this. For a lot of technical analysts, the first pattern that they learn are these kind of double bottom type pattern, where the most classic one is an Adam and Eve double bottom, which I really was seeing ever since more than a year ago. There is an Adam-Eve bottom that's being formed, and a lot of times these bottoms are very, very powerful bottoms, especially when you're seeing here on a monthly chart like this, that's been formed ever since 2022 all the way to 2025. And when you have a double bottom, you have a breakout, which had happened really in February of 2025. A lot of times what happens after that is you can back test the breakout, and the back test sometimes can go a little bit more brutally down. And once you backtest the breakout and it finds support, generally you like to go a lot higher. This is the Adam and this is the Eve. This is the breakout and this is the backtest, right? We've had all of those things that had happened already. Now, if I throw in a couple other things on top of it, let's say if I throw in the Bollinger Band here, you can see how the 20-month moving average is resistance over here for a very, very long time. And actually, even before there was resistance, a little bit of a false breakout and breakdown. What was not able to break back above was served as resistance here since August 2021 until the recent trend changed in September 2024, where you have a candle that is really going all the way up to the upper Bollinger Band here. And this has really seriously flipped the trend from negative here to bullish. And that's been the case for forming higher highs and higher lows ever since September of 2024. I would even argue that this is a higher low over here compared to that. I would also argue this is a higher high here compared to that. So really, it's been forming higher highs and higher lows since October 2022. This whole Adam and Eve is necessary because you need to have the sideways consolidation for the 20-month moving average to flip from resistance here into support. Once it has done that, it will form higher highs and higher lows. And that's exactly what's been doing it here for about, really close to over a year. What are we talking about here too is that whenever you have a trend change, you can't just immediately go up a lot higher. You need to build an expansion to go along with it. And the Hang Seng Index initially was not expanded enough, which is why it couldn't go up a lot higher in October. And it had to kind of go sideways here for a few months before pushing it higher and create some volatility to expand a Bollinger Band. Now that the Bollinger Band is expanding, that allows price to go up higher. This is a very important concept that I generally look at over and over and over and over again across different stocks, crypto, markets, everything. The other thing too that's very, very important to look at is when you have a flip of a resistance and you flip that from resistance to support, that is a change of character, and that is bullish. This is exactly what's happening here with the Hang Seng Index here with the Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly. You can see how it was rejected here at the Ichimoku cloud here for many, many months. Eventually it would push through, back test the bottom of the cloud, and now you're serving as support. Now the cloud is no longer resistance, now the cloud is support. This is a very, very, very powerful trend change that would allow things to go up a lot higher over time. It is important to have these kind of resistance flip support. You have also got, with the Ichimoku cloud, a bullish cross here with the blue crossing over the red. We call it the Tenkan Kitchen bullish cross. That generally lead to a trend change that can serve as support and push price all the way up here. Now, the issue is whenever things get a little bit too far away from the Tenkan or the kitchen, you generally end up getting gravitated back into that to test as support before going up higher, and that's why you have higher highs and higher lows. Here, you had a very, very nice September candle over here. October couldn't go that much higher. How come? Sorry, not October. Here you have a very nice candle in February, but in March you couldn't really have go up that far ahead. Why is that? Because the Tenkan here has not risen yet. Now it has been rising. Now you're no longer that far overextended above the blue line over here. Now price can go a lot higher. And you also have broken above the cloud, back to the cloud. Now you're above the cloud. This thing looks like it wants to go higher over time. Why are we having a hard time breaking above the current level over here? Let's see. I'm going to go do a... I'm going to take off the Ichimoku cloud over here. I'm going to show you the Fib levels here. And the Fib levels is very important to show because it shows you a lot of very important things. Now, in addition to just the 0.61, I also want to show some of the lower Fib levels here to kind of show you what we're looking at, because it's important to see that stocks really gravitate to these levels. A couple of important levels usually is 0.382 and 0.5, but one of the most important level is the 0.618. The next very important level they're seen here is 0.786. These two are very, very important level. I'm doing a log Fib here from the all-time high to the cycle low down here, and you can see how we're right back at the 0.618. 0.618 is a very important resistance level. If you break above that, it goes to 0.76, which I do expect it to do because we just broken above the Ichimoku cloud, because the Bollinger Band is finally expanding, allowing price to go up higher, not like what you got rejected last time here. Bollinger Band hasn't really fully expanded yet. That's why you couldn't have really price going up that much higher at that time. But certainly things have seemed to have changed right here. So what are we expecting to happen? I expect that this time we have enough juice and power to push for the 0.618 to get to 0.786. Not a whole lot of people are talking about this possibility yet because they don't care. A lot of people are chasing whatever's hot, like HIMS. They are getting recently destroyed. Now they're chasing other things, who knows. HIMS is still very, very, very much of a very nice bull trend, by the way. And I actually feel pretty good about that stock moving forward. But looking at the Hang Seng Index, I think this is one of those things that people are being very, very mum about. But this is actually a great setup. If it breaks about 0.618, it goes to 0.786. Imagine that. That's a huge jump from 0.618 to 0.786. That's like over 3,500 points. That's like more than 10%. It's like 13-14% jump. If the Hang Seng Index jumps that much, the underlying Chinese stock is going to jump a lot more. I'm not saying I'm going to guarantee you this higher highs, higher low is going to end up breaking out soon, and I can't guarantee you're just going to come back down to back to some of the other things here again, kind of like Coinbase did, just shaking everybody out. before going up higher. All I'm saying is that we could be at the cusp of breaking out here. And if we do, I think that it might hit the top, minimally hit the top of this diagonal bear market trend line. And what it does after that, it ends up breaking out and backtest 0.76 or backtest that diagonal trend, and then it can make all-time high. And they might end up printing enough liquidity to allow you to do that. What happens at 0.76, I do not know. And I think it's very important to see what happens then. But I bet a bunch of people are going to be extremely euphoric when it gets to the 0.76. Because human nature always does that. They look at what's hot, and whenever it's hot, people gravitate to that at resistance, right? The fact that we are at resistance at 0.61 and nobody's talking about it makes me feel more confident that the Chinese market is going to end up continuing to break up higher. There are a few stocks that I think are bullish. One is Alibaba. You can see the Adam and Eve double bottom and the back test. You can see how beautiful this back test is as well. It's right at that level. And it's also very important to also visualize in terms of the FIB level too, because the breakout is at the 0.382 is a very important FIB level. Got rejected to 0.5, came back right there at the 0.382, right? This is a beautiful market symmetry that is exhibiting. And with this breakout and back test, if this is happening on declining volume, which it is, this is basically saying that this move over here is just a corrective move. There's really not a whole lot of sellers left. And the next move is going to end up going up. This is a very, very beautiful setup here for Alibaba to continue to go up. Guess also what is a very beautiful setup for Alibaba to go up to do is setting up as a very, very beautiful way for it to push into the cloud and even potentially get to the top of the cloud up here, maybe by the end of 2025 or early 2026. Because you've been consolidating underneath and pushing in the cloud and unable to do so, but you're also holding this blue line over here, tanking over here, support very, very well, and you're using that basically to try and push in the cloud. Once it does push in the cloud, and I think it will because this is a consolidation move right here in low volume, once it pushes inside the cloud, then it goes a lot higher, and then a lot of people are going to be a lot more euphoric about Alibaba all over again. And guess what? By then, the move would be quick and swift, and a lot of people would be missing the big move as opposed to where you're at now. You don't really have a bunch of expansion on the downside, but on the upside here, it continues to expand. Last time you have a candle up here in March 2025, and I warn against people buying these kinds of candles, because if you buy over here, I don't care how bullish the fundamentals are. If you buy it way outside the monthly upper Bollinger Band, you're asking for pain. If you end up buying all the way up here to the top of the candle, around like 140, 150, then at some point you just lost like more than 30% of your money, right? And right now you still be down by about like 20% or so. I'm trying to say that this corrective move is necessary. I'm trying to say this volatility has created enough volatility to allow the Bollinger Band to expand into an upside. And I'm saying that once it's able to find good support, which I think it is going to end up grabbing and continue to go up a lot higher with Alibaba. This is a very, very important concept to grasp in terms of what I think the market structure is doing. Now, I am bullish on Alibaba based on the structure. What other stocks am I bullish on when it comes to the Chinese market? One of the most bullish stocks of the Chinese market is Tencent. This is an actual over-the-counter stock. I generally don't like to talk about over-the-counter stock that much, but just look at it. I have another video I was talking about the 0.786 and 0.886. Sometimes the 0.786 is the final boss. Sometimes the 0.886 is the final boss. Here, I think in this case of Tencent, I think the 0.786 is the final boss, and I think it's been trying to break above the 0.786 here for quite some time. It's also finding some pretty good support at 0.618 here during April, and looks like it wants to continue to break through and go a lot higher. Why do you have a hard time breaking out? Because you simply haven't had the Bollinger Band expansion previously over here, got rejected. Here, now the upper Bollinger Band is expanding. I think it's going to allow price to really push through about the 0.786. Is going to allow this stock to go up a lot higher over time. And also, just like the Hang Seng Index has broken above the Ichimoku cloud here pretty convincingly. And we'll see whether or not Tencent will have its continuation here. Now, a lot of folks may also not have exposure or not able to get exposure here to this stock over here, which is extremely bullish. It's called Xiaomi. They produce phones, and now they produce cars. They produce a lot of really, really, really fascinating things. And because of that, the stock has been soaring up, and it got so far overextended above the Tenkan Kitchen that it had to spend April touching the Tenkan over here. Got close to the previous all-time high here, bounced off. They just want to keep going a lot higher at the at the 1.272 where it got rejected previously, and now you're pushing through. It looks like this stock just wants to keep going higher. There are some selected stocks in the Chinese market that are extremely bullish like this. What other stock am I extremely bullish? Well, if you are a member of Danny's Patreon, which I do, videos for him basically every weekend to talk about his chart, my charts. If you enjoy my videos, I'm going to talk your ear off every weekend over on his Patreon. But you can see what's happening here with the stock called Futu. Futu to me is basically almost like the Robin Hood of the East. And what Futu has been doing is basically forming a little bit of like an ascending triangle, trying to push through about the 0.786 log fib here. Rejected, but we're inside the cloud, and the Tenkan has been serving support, and the Tenkan looks like it wants to push the price up through the 0.76, and once it pushes through the 0.76, it's probably going to challenge the previous all-time high. Once you push through that, it's probably going to go to a lot higher level too. But this morphology here with higher highs and higher lows is bullish and is hitting resistance, but the bottom of it continues to increase. It's bullish, right? Upper Bollinger Band also continue to expand. Now you're getting to the point where Upper Bollinger Band is almost touching 0.76. That's going to allow price to push through a lot higher. It backtested the 20-month moving average here multiple times. Higher highs and higher lows. This is a very, very bullish stock. I like Futu, right? I also like TIGR, but I already talked about TIGR previously on one of the 4 stocks that I'm buying, and I'm still, as long as price is underneath $10, I'm still going to buy. Bullish engulfing candle, expanding Bollinger Band here. That's going to allow it eventually to push through some of the key resistance levels and try and push through here, which is the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud and the Tenkan here as well. I do think that we're building up enough energy to really try to push through here, and I do think that this is a bullish stock, and I think that it's going to allow it to enough energy to really truly break about the 0.5. We will see. What are some of the stocks, what is another bullish Chinese stock that I like a lot based on the morphology? I like Xiaopeng. I like ticker symbol XPEV. If I was going to buy a Chinese EV stock, which I'm not, but if I was going to buy a Chinese EV stock, this would be the one. It is forming a low volume bull flag here underneath the 0.5 for months. It is forming a double bottom over here. It wants to push through the 0.5 and go a lot higher. If you don't even care to look at these indicators, you want to look at a little bit more sophisticated indicators, look no further than the monthly Ichimoku cloud. It's trying to push above the Ichimoku cloud here. Has not been able to do that, forming a flag here at the Tenkan Kitchen. You have a bullish katana that's building up. And it's building up a lot of energy to try to push through into the cloud. Once you push through into the cloud, I think it's going to go a lot higher. And this is a bullish stock. I don't know what else to say. I like the morphology. If I'm going to buy one that is related to the Chinese EV sector, this would be the one. It would not be, I'm going to talk about 2 stocks here that I would not buy from the Chinese market. The first one that I would not buy from the Chinese market based on technical analysis is NIO. It's underneath the monthly Tenkan, keeps on getting rejected over and over again. It is underneath the 20-month moving average, keeps on getting rejected over and over again. It could keep on forming lower highs and lower lows until proven otherwise. It has not exhibited any behavior of a trend change at all whatsoever. The other thing is you could try to catch bullish divergences here on the monthly. You can see how the bullish divergence has been building up for how many years now? Ever since October 2022, it's been building up for almost 3 years while price continue to go down. The RSI continue to go up. But does that mean that the end is near for the stock? Maybe, maybe not. I would not be convinced until it ends up breaking above the 20-month moving average, back test it and go higher. That would be the requirement for me to turn bullish on NIO, and neither of those things have happened yet. That's why I cannot take any, after knowing what I know and seeing what I see over the last couple of years, I cannot take any like paid service very seriously if they believe that NIO is bullish, because it just hasn't been, and there's no proof of it being that until a change of characters to come and allowing NIO to go higher. That has not happened. Another one that I also cannot be bullish on until a character change is happening. And again, this could happen at any time because this could be the Adam and this could be the Eve right here. But currently there's no proof that Baidu, ticker symbol BIDU, is bullish yet because it's still underneath the 20-month moving average. Is still forming, for the most part, low highs and lower lows until further proven otherwise. And also, if you look at the Ichimoku, it's still underneath the Tenkan. Tons of resistance, hasn't really had a chance to break above. I cannot be that bullish on this stock unless it reclaims the Tenkan, the blue line here, from resistance to support, and unless it reclaims the 20-month moving average from resistance to support. I'm taking my time on this video to talk to you about China stock because I don't want to just tell you what happens. I want to educate you in terms of what I'm seeing. The purpose is not to tell you, oh, this is a buy, this is so bullish, this is what, this is this, this is that. That's not the point. The point I really want to try to horn into is I really want you to know what I'm looking at. I want you to see what I'm looking at. If you disagree with me, I want you to have grounds to disagree with me. If you agree with me, I don't want you to blindly agree. I want you to listen to this 20-minute video and really try to grasp what it is that I'm trying to say, because I want to share with you what I'm seeing. And that is the whole point of doing charting for me. And not to tell you what to do, but for you to see what I'm seeing, for you to be able to tell me what to do maybe in the future. Maybe I miss some things here and there. I miss things all the time, make mistakes all the time. But I want you to be able to see what I see, put that into your perspective, and maybe you're able to teach me a thing or two in the future. Or 3 or 4 things, or 10 things. Anyway, guys, take care, bye.